Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating, the living world. We're going to explore the hidden connections that make our entire planet tick, and hopefully turn what might seem like ordinary everyday sights into an incredible, interconnected web of science. Let's get right into it. So, I want you to think about this. What do a lion, a puddle, and a rusty nail actually have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a cheesy joke, right? But the answer is actually the key to understanding our whole planet. Biology, earth science, chemistry, they aren't just isolated subjects you read about in a textbook. They are beautifully interconnected puzzle pieces that make up our world. Here is our roadmap for today. First, nature's big neighborhood. Second, food webs, who eats whom. Third, photosynthesis, plant power. Fourth, the never-ending water cycle. And finally, matter, materials, and changes. Section 1. Nature's big neighborhood, the biotic and abiotic world. Take a quick second to look around the room or environment you're in right now. You're going to see a mix of things that are alive and things that definitely aren't. And that's actually the perfect introduction to our first core concept, the ecosystem. It's not just some static backdrop. It's a highly interactive environment made up of biotic factors, so living organisms, and abiotic factors, the non-living parts like water, soil, and sunlight. Honestly, ecology is really just the study of this constant, dynamic interaction. Zooming in a bit, we get to habitats. Think of a habitat as a highly customized home that provides an organism with its exact survival needs, stuff like food, water, and shelter. But, organisms don't just exist in a vacuum. A group of the exact same species forms a population. And when you mix intersecting populations together, say grazing deer, towering trees, and hunting lions, you get a diverse community. All these communities are operating within specific habitats that are perfectly tailored for their survival. Section 2. Food webs, who eats whom, powering the ecosystem. Okay, so how does this massive, incredibly diverse neighborhood actually stay powered up? Well, it all comes down to energy transfer. Every single living creature relies on producers, like green plants on land or algae out in the ocean, to kickstart the food web. They are absolutely crucial. They are the foundation of life because they are the only ones that can manufacture their own food using direct energy from the sun. Then we have our consumers. Since they can't make their own energy, they've got to get it the old-fashioned way, by eating those producers or by eating other animals. This creates a really complex matrix of herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. It's a highly dynamic system where animals are constantly shifting roles between predator and prey, essentially driving the entire ecosystem's energy forward. But wait. Energy doesn't just vanish at the end of the line. Enter the decomposers, things like worms or fungi. They play this vital role of breaking down dead organic material. They're basically nature's ultimate recycling crew, returning essential nutrients right back into the soil, which closes the biological loop and makes sure producers have the rich foundation they need to start the whole cycle all over again. Moving right along to Section 3, photosynthesis, plant power, the ultimate food factory. So if animals rely on plants for energy, you might be wondering, where exactly do the plants get theirs? They get it through a truly magnificent chemical recipe. Leaves are literally tiny food factories. The chlorophyll absorbs sunlight, little pores called stomata pull in carbon dioxide right out of the air, and the roots absorb water from the soil. The plant takes all of that, synthesizes it into glucose for its own energy, and, lucky for us, releases the oxygen we breathe as a life-saving byproduct. Now, when we think of oxygen production, we naturally picture tall trees and massive, sprawling forests, right? But here's a really surprising fact. 70 to 80% of Earth's oxygen actually comes from tiny oceanic phytoplankton. We're talking about microscopic algae just floating out in the sea. So every time you take a deep breath, you literally have the ocean to thank. Section 4. The never-ending water cycle, the ultimate sustainer. Let's pivot from the engine of life, photosynthesis, to the ultimate sustainer of life, water. Over 3/4 of our planet's surface is covered in it, and it's constantly on the move in this endless giant loop. Heat causes evaporation. Our plant friends from the last section actually contribute to this through transpiration, releasing vapor right through their leaves. All that rising vapor then cools into clouds via condensation, falls back down to Earth as precipitation, and gathers up in rivers, lakes, and oceans through accumulation. And then the whole thing just begins again. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Matter, Materials, and Changes, the building blocks of nature. Let's zoom all the way out now to the physical rules of the universe. Literally everything we've talked about so far, the plants, the animals, the flowing water, it is all fundamentally made of matter. And matter really only changes in two ways. A physical change alters its shape or state, like ice melting into a puddle. A chemical change, on the other hand, creates a totally new substance, like metal rusting, which actually brings us right back to our opening hook. The melting puddle is a physical change, the rusty nail is a chemical change, and the lion relies on both to exist. It's all connected. Crucially, matter isn't just a random jumble of stuff. It possesses very specific properties. We're talking about things like hardness, transparency, conductivity, and density. And this is the big takeaway. Scientists and engineers use these exact fundamental properties to understand our physical world. They manipulate them to invent all the tools, technologies, and infrastructure that we rely on every single day. So, here's a final provocative thought to leave you with today. The next time you look out your window, what invisible connections are you going to spot? Will you see the sunlight driving the hidden engine of photosynthesis? Maybe a puddle slowly evaporating to join the water cycle? Or even a rusty gate undergoing a quiet chemical change? Everything in biology, earth science, and chemistry forms one magnificent interlocking web. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions and keep exploring those incredible connections right in your own backyard.